Hello, in today's Archaeoscoop, my headline is as follows. It's actually been a couple of weeks since my last Archaeoscoop. There are reasons for that, and I am terribly sorry. But over the past couple of weeks, actually, probably the most important for me, the most standout headline is the following one. It comes from Penn State University. You may recall that in 2004, a new species of human was announced, Homo Floresiensis. They were notable for their short stature, and some people gave them the nickname Hobbits, or the Hobbit people. In fact, a couple of years ago, there was a lawsuit linked with the fact that people keep on calling them Hobbits. The Tolkien estate, or was it New Line Cinema, weren't happy with that. Well, it seems actually that people in 2004 may have rushed to assign a new species when in fact, well, they may simply be humans who are developmentally slightly abnormal. At the time, people said that, or anthropologists were saying that the skeleton, the skull in particular, was about the size of a chimpanzee, and yet they were found with stone tools, and this was simply astounding. But actually, research at Penn State has thrown, well, cast doubt on and thrown a bit of a speculative and critical eye over the over these assumptions, and actually even the formulas used to calculate height. For example, the original height of Homo floresiensis was estimated at around about 3.5 feet, 3.5 foot tall. This was actually based on a formula used for estimating African pygmy populations. If you only have some parts of the bones, some parts of the skeleton, you can estimate their height using that formula. But if you use a formula which is actually linked with Down syndrome and people living in that part of the world, in the Austro-Melanesian area, then you come up with a height which is much more reasonable, something more akin to around about 4 foot tall. There's also other elements of the skeleton, for example an asymmetry in the skull, and also the brain capacity, the brain size within the skull, that again hint to the possibility of these skeletons being simply humans, Homo sapiens, from that part of the world who had Down's syndrome. And of course, on an isolated population on an island like that, such a gene, if it's around, is going to become more and more common the more and more generations which are isolated from others. So Down syndrome may well be the reason. Homo floresiensis may not be an individual, a new species of human being, and rather it could simply be Down syndrome, which is the explanation for this particular morphology which was found back in 2004. Now, some people will be going, aha, aha, aha. Well, you see, this helps to disprove the Darwinian perspective on human evolution, which predicts that there'll be other human species around at the same time as our one. And lots of people back in 2004 were saying, aha, they see there's another human species around at the same time as Homo sapiens. Or, of course, Homo neanderthalensis, Neanderthals, we already know about. But actually in this instance this isn't really disproving the theory. What this is doing is showing that we are more than capable of revisiting our finds even up to 10 years later and really scrutinising them. And in this instance actually I'd say that this is a win for scientific method and process. Rather than going on with the, I mean, as one of the people here said, this work is not presented in the form of a fanciful story, but is to test a hypothesis. Are the skeletons from Liang Buya cave sufficiently unusual to require the invention of a new human species? Our reanalysis shows that they are not. And in that instance, in that way, I think that this is actually a really good showcase for actually how archaeologists and anthropologists and scientists in general do revisit their findings. They criticise them, they even, in some instances, this is being labelled as a rebuke, and out of it comes hopefully a clearer understanding Now this is of course one study, and I'm sure there'll be much more work to come on this, but this for me was the most interesting news story of the past couple of weeks. There's lots of other interesting news stories though, so for this one and the other news stories in the past couple of weeks, all you need to do is check out the links below as ever. They're there for your delectation and delight. Please do read and enjoy. Whatever you're up to this weekend, do have a great weekend, and until next time, as ever, take care. Bye bye.